Your station for new and original, raw and uncut talent. Talk, politics, and music.
Cha cha cha. Welcome back to Politics as Usual. You're here on True Executive Radio. I am the host, Eric Wright, here to bring you new information, things that we need to talk about in the black community. Our community needs these discussions. Before we jump off in the topic, I want to give a shout out to a person that played a huge role in my success and taught me so many things over the years. This guy that I met when I was in 11th grade. I told him I wanted to play football in college, and he laughed because I was maybe 140 pounds soaking wet. He laughed at me and just told me to keep working hard. And I continued to work hard, and then I went to college. The college I went to was Troy University. And at Troy University, this same man um, was the head coach of Troy University. He continued to tell me to work hard. So I went to practice every day, went to every workout, never missed a day, and worked my ass off. I literally worked my ass off. And then after being there midway through my freshman year, I'm going into my sophomore year. I had an opportunity to see if I would finally make the team. Would I be a part of the travel team? Would I be a part of the team that goes off and plays? And my name wasn't on the list. And when I tell you, I was destroyed. All of that work, everybody's been telling me that you're too small, you're not fast enough, you're not big enough, and I kept hearing that so much. And I'm not seeing my name on the list. For a moment, I thought they were right. I thought they were right, and what that coach told me to work hard wasn't true. So I was leaving the workout facility, and I was headed back to the dorm. And I happened to see this coach, and the coach told me make sure that I get ready in the morning, because you know how travel is, and make sure to have my bags packed. And I looked at him with confusion and said, "My name is not on the list." And he looked back at me with confusion and said, "Really?" He told me to come with him. I walked with him into um, the coach's offices, and he spoke to a few coaches. And after that, he looked at me and said, "Grab your travel bag and make sure you're ready in the morning." And when I say I was so relieved and also honored at the same time that the head coach saw to make sure that I was on the travel squad. And the head coach wanted me to be there and be available during game time. That meant the world to me. And I wanted to try to do everything I could not to let this person down that believed in me um, like that. And for my remainder of time at Troy University, I remained on the travel squad. I remained a part of the team, and I gained a full scholarship as well. I'm one of those guys you call a walk on. I walked on. I wasn't invited. I wasn't given a scholarship. I earned one. I took one. I worked hard, like they said, and that's how I received that. And those same lessons transferred into manhood and going out to work. And even when you're tired, even if you don't want to, even if you don't want to cook or you don't want to clean, I remember the things that's instilled in me to overcome certain things and do what have to be done. And for that, I would like to thank one of the Sun Belt's winningest coaches in college football history, Coach Larry Blakeney. This is a guy. This is a guy that really inspired me to be who I am today. And so many other guys have that story because we played for someone that was a true player's coach. So let's give Larry Blakeney a shout out for instilling something into so many young men, so many black young men, white young men. It don't matter. He always says black, white, offense, defense, special team, Troy. We're all together. So shout out to him. So let's go ahead and jump on into it. I started out with something light before I get into the heavy stuff. Now, the first article that came up that caught my eye that I think we need to have a discussion about says Sacred Ground fighting to identify the final resting place for 300 African Americans. So, this is what happened. Stephan Industries, a construction and landfill company, bought a church property and cemetery in the 1990s. The company received approval from the Clay County Board of Commissioners to remove the remains of 343 people from an abandoned cemetery. They were going to move it to Carver Memorial Gardens in 2009. And those remains date back to probably about the 1800s, some early 1900s. So these are some old graves that they had to dig up. And they also got approved for to move additional 67 grave sites in 2017 when the company acquired more land. So right now, the problem is the family members of the deceased, the descendants, they have no idea where their loved ones' remains are. Some of them, rightfully so, did not have markers on them, headstones, or names, and some of them did. But as they were transported, somehow they don't know who's who. So, being a family member, I would be devastated to know that my great grandfather's body has been moved and you can't tell me where you moved it to. You can't point at the plot and say this is where your great grandfather is. Like this is something that we need to start discussing in our community is the ability to not only take care of ourselves when we're living, but to also take care of the memories of our loved ones as they pass away. I know in our community there is not a huge um, want to do cremation. A lot of us, especially in the South, would rather be buried. And if that's so, we need to start talking about who owns this land. How are we going to keep this land within our community, within our culture, and the steps to make sure that these grave sites where our loved ones are that we love so much that we go out and do cookouts and whatever when people die, we have insurance, we do all of these things, we cry, we moan, we wear t-shirts saying RIP and all of that. But once they're put in the ground, we see time and time again they're eventually forgotten, and we need to get away from that. So we need to start learning about building certain trust for the communities, for families, family trust, to make sure that as the family grows, the trust also grows, and the trust can be responsible for the upkeep and maintenance of the memorial grounds of your loved ones. So let's keep this in mind. There's some people that's going through this very thing in Clay County in Georgia, and they are looking for their loved ones, and they don't know who is who, and that has to be a very painful feeling. And this is happening a lot when churches are closed, especially in rural areas. Churches are closed, and most rural area churches have cemeteries on the land, and it takes time and a lot of money, and it costs this company Stephan Industries over $2 million to uh, move and replace those remains in another location. But you got to have a better system of transporting human remains of people that passed away. And as of right now, because this is politics as usual, we don't have federal parameters or rules regarding the relocation of remains for people loved ones. So we want to make sure that we start having this conversation, and also petitioning the government to actually have some kind of rules and regulations towards this, because this is becoming more and more popular since more churches are closing their doors. Next topic we're going to, and now we're going to Florida, because there's some stuff that's been going on in Jacksonville, Florida. The report says from 2016 to 2021, the Atlanta based bank, America's Bank Home Lending, was focused disproportionately on mostly white areas in Jacksonville, while other banks approved loans at three times the rate Ameris did, said the government. So, a lot of people always talk about what has Joe Biden done, or what has any some of the Democratic officials have done in Washington. This is one highlight where they actually did something right. Now, there was a settlement for $9 million by Ameris Bank for alleged redlining. Now, we all know if somebody pays a settlement, you was already guilty. They were doing it. They were guilty. $9 million settlement. And this came as Joe Biden's administration is tackling through a new task force that was established earlier this year. This is the largest settlement in this department's history since Joe Biden has started this task force. So this is a highlight. That's something that actually did happen. It was an issue from 2016 to 2021 that they redlined Jacksonville, Florida, and only gave loans to white people. And for brown and Latino people, they did not. And for that, they had to pay up 9 mil. Now, I don't know if um, any of the people that applied for loans or were deterred from applying for loans actually will receive any part of this 9 mil. But you know how I feel. Cut the check. You know, Joe Biden did it right this time. So $9 million settlement from Ameris Bank because they refused to give loans to black and brown people, but gave loans to white people three times the rate of any other bank in Florida. And these are home mortgages. So they were actually preventing people from buying a home, deterring people from getting a loan, or just denying the loan all in two. So good thing that Joe Biden and his task force caught this, caught the complaints that's been going around, and make those people whole. Also, that happened in just to give you the time frame. That just happened at the end of October 2023. So uh, now, since we are in November and we're getting close to Turkey Day, there's a there's a tradition that always goes on within the political sphere. It's something to get eyes on whatever candidate or political representative it is, especially mayors and governors. It's a tradition to pardon the turkey, and it's purely a dog and pony show. You bring turkeys out and say, "Oh, we're not going to kill you for Thanksgiving." You pardon them, and everybody take pictures and smiles and all of that. So let's go to Arkansas. I'm bringing this up for a reason because Arkansas's governor, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, she pardoned two turkeys. She just pardoned two turkeys and said that she won't kill the turkeys or keep them and let them go. She took pictures, she smiled and did all of that. While the day before, she just denied a request for clemency for a man that has severe developmental disabilities who spent 32 years in state prison for a crime he did not commit. Charlie Vaughn was one of four men convicted in 1988 for the murder of an 81-year-old Myrtle Holmes. According to Vaughn, he was held in jail a year and insisted that he was innocent. He was publicly assigned an attorney, and they advised him, guess what they advised him to do? You already know. Take a damn plea. Instead of taking that shit to trial to actually make that public defender do his job, which they should, they advised him to take a plea deal. He took the plea deal, and guess what he got? He didn't get the electric chair. He got life. He took a plea deal and got life for a crime that he didn't commit. And while sentencing him, the judge said, I'm sure that some governor somewhere down the road will reduce your sentence or commute it to terms of years. Sanders called on the State Board of Corrections to approve 500 additional prison beds, claiming that Arkansas had a weak penalty for violent crimes and required space to lock up additional 2,000 people. Now, she has an innocent man that's still in prison that didn't commit a crime, that the judge that gave him life knew that he didn't commit that crime. He asked to be pardoned or released. You refuse it and then turn around and ask the board to build 500 new units so you can store another 2,000 felons, violent offenders, so to say. As of right now, with those additional beds, Arkansas will have the 11th largest prison population, not in the U.S., in the fucking world. So imagine how many people that may be there that probably shouldn't. This is politics as usual. If you don't keep your eyes out for the bullshit, you'll always get fooled by it. Keep your head on the swivel.